For decades, Germany was Europe's economic powerhouse. Made in Germany. Massive industrial base, cheap energy, brought prosperity. But today, the largest car maker wobbles. Historic plant closures are on the table. Tens of thousands of jobs at risk. And every time we hear the same debate. Management failed. Corporations lost their social responsibility. But is that the truth? Or are the companies just reacting to conditions politicians created? The economy has an uncomfortable trait. It doesn't care about speeches. It responds to incentives. The old formula was simple. Cheap energy from Russia, highly efficient factories at home, a hungry market in China. That was the bedrock. But all three are collapsing at once. Energy became prohibitively expensive. Hyper-bureaucracy paralyzed the factories. And China turned from best customer into fiercest competitor. Germany passed an unprecedented wave of laws, phasing out nuclear power, forcing the transition away from combustion engines, strict environmental mandates, endless reporting duties. Everyone had a noble goal: climate, justice, ethical supply chains. But there's a science of human action called praxeology. It never asks what this well-intentioned. It asks, how will real people actually act because of this? That collision with reality is where an idea works or catastrophically fails. Germany shut its reliable baseline power plants, hoping to run on green energy alone. Now imagine you own an industrial plant that must run 24/7. Your electricity bill multiplies and grid stability swings because wind and sun don't deliver on command. Do you quietly lose money for the climate until you go under? No. You call your CFO. The mainstream? Companies must show social responsibility, but praxeology? They do. To their balance sheet. Businesses run numbers, or they go bankrupt. So, they build the next factory where power is cheap and secure. The economy doesn't debate, it calculates. The epicenter, the national auto giant. For generations, it was the sacred heart of German industry. When it tightens spirals, it's not about executive bonuses. Economists analyze a brutal cascade set to wipe out up to 120,000 jobs, or more. The outrage? How can they abandon the German worker? Emotional, but economically the wrong question. On the board, you have two options. Keep manufacturing under crushing energy bills, high taxes and heavy regulation, or downsize at home and shift capital abroad. The mainstream? Be more patriotic. Praxeology? Excel isn't a patriot. A balance sheet knows only revenue or expense. Then just work harder, back to the 50-hour week. But prosperity is the product of labor time and productivity. And the system suffocates productivity at the root. Millions work 40 or 50-hour weeks, yet prosperity stagnates because they are on a phantom treadmill. Thanks to the avalanche of regulation and reporting. Brilliant engineers don't optimize production or invent. They fill out carbon footprints, diversity metrics, and compliance forms. They burn human energy without creating a single ounce of real value. At the same time, the demography hammer strikes. The huge boomer generation retires. To fund a shrinking welfare state's exploding liabilities, the government squeezes the remaining high performers, with one of the highest tax and social security burdens on earth. The mainstream would say, a 4-day week, or grit your teeth and clock more hours. But the praxeology sees that different. If the system punishes extra effort with punitive taxes and wastes your hours on bureaucracy, even a 60-hour week won't save you. You just run faster and stay in the same place. When a factory shuts, everyone sees it. Cameras, evening news, hollow political regrets. But the deeper question, where is the factory never built? The startup never founded here because the founders left for Austin, Miami or Singapore. The high-paying jobs of tomorrow that never came into existence. Economists call these opportunity costs. The capital didn't vanish, it migrated. While the media reports local decay, the future's wealth is being built elsewhere. The collapse doesn't come with a bang, it happens silently, through the systematic absence of a future. Approximately 150 years ago, Karl Menger showed that value is entirely subjective, and capital is not a permanent, God-given gift. It's the fragile result of smart, risk-taking human choices made inside a stable, rewarding environment. Dismantle the pillars of that environment, and the praxeological chain reaction triggers automatically. And here's Germany's internal rot collides with the greatest disruption of our era, artificial intelligence. Contrary to the dystopias, AI won't simply replace the manual laborer overnight. It does something far more radical. It pulverizes legacy business models and liquidates the rigid, slow, hyper-bureaucratic corporate structures of the past. Apply this praxeological lens to the next 10 or 20 years. In 5 years, the line of demarcation, US and Asian firms use AI to compress admin towards zero and productivity explodes, while Germany, shackled in regulatory hell, uses AI just to survive its own bureaucracy, and capital quietly flees. In 10 years, the asset write-off crisis, legacy plans reach the end of their life and are never replaced on Germany's soil. Creeping impoverishment takes hold while a desperate state bleeds its shrinking economy dry with predatory taxes. In 20 years, the open-air museum, economic irrelevance, crumbling infrastructure, managed state poverty. The world's real value creation moved elsewhere long ago. The economy has no morality, no ideology, and it's immune to political promises. It's just the sum of millions of people making logical choices every day. And they don't respond to good intentions, they respond to incentives. Destroy the incentives for productivity and anchor your nation to yesterday's models, and the future will punish you without mercy. This is the immutable law of human action.